What's up, everybody? First thing you might notice from the title, I'm not Nick. Where's Nick?
Over here.
Dead to us all. Now, normally it's Nick who does these reviews because when we started doing this kind of series, Nick was basically the only one that did solo playing. I hadn't soloed really anything. But since that time, I've actually grown to like solo gaming quite a bit. I've soloed many of the games that Nick would do a review on in the early You Can Solo That's. And then I've soloed a number of things that Nick hasn't even soloed before. Case in point, this butt right here, the Isle of Cats, which is what I'm talking about today. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to take you through the Isle of Cats, which is this cool polyomino card drafting game where you're drafting cards around and trying to eventually rescue cats and put them onto your boat. And the cats are all like cat physics style where they're polyomino shapes. And so you're trying to fill your boat in a specific way, usually to do with these scoring cards that you've now drafted around. So maybe you're trying to go for certain things and avoiding certain others. And that's basically the whole game. It's a super fun game that I saw came with a solo edition. I was like, well, I like this game. There's not always someone around. Let me see if the Isle of Cats solo can provide a fun gaming experience. Spoiler alert, it super does, but I'll get to that later. And I decided to check it out, and now I'm going to teach you how to solo this game. So, couple things. Number one, I'm not going to teach you the full game if it's your first time ever cracking open the book. You'll want to check out someone much more talented than I am at teaching that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all the ways that Isle of Cats is different from the multiplayer normal game, how the solo works, what's going to change for you, and take you through all of that so that you'd be ready to solo this game by watching this video. Then afterward, I'll tell you what I thought about it. So let's get right to it, and here's how you solo the Isle of Cats. In the Isle of Cats, you will be drafting cards and rescuing cats before Vesh Darkhand arrives with his armies, but now you have to deal with your sister who's stuck aboard your boat and looks to steal credit for everything you do. You will set up for the game normally for yourself. Your sister will set up with the 5 solo color cards in a line with the first card face up. She will also receive 3 solo lessons and then additional advanced lessons if you would like a more difficult game experience. Take the solo basket cards, shuffle them, and place them in a face-down deck. The island will be placed as normal with the 6 Oshax tiles placed in a line above the island. Next, populate the fields with 4 cats in each. Here it is important to place all tiles and rare treasures in a line as well. In the game, your sister won't be collecting tiles or gaining cards. All of her scoring is going to be based on what's going on your boat at the end of the game. The different colored cats will score your sister points based on how early her color cards are revealed, and all of her lesson cards will score based on the condition of your boat, so you have to pick your cats wisely. Phase 1 is fishing will play out the same as in the normal game with you receiving 20 fish each round, however your sister receives none. Phase 2 is exploring, where you will simulate a card draft. Here you'll draft 5 cards, keeping 3. You'll do this twice and then draw a final 7th card off the top of the deck to create your hand of drafted cards. You then will need to pay to keep cards by spending fish equal to the number in the top left of all cards you wish to keep. All lesson cards may be placed face up in front of you, and public lessons are available to score, however, they will only score half the amount of normal points, rounded up. Phase 4 is where you rescue cats. Here you'll choose which green cards you wish to play. Once you've made your selections, flip over the first solo basket card from the deck. Here you'll see a number of baskets and at times a speed. This will determine how many actions your sister will take this turn, and you compare speeds as usual to determine player order. If the number of baskets is more than 1, draw additional face-down basket cards to match the amount of baskets showing, including the first card. On your turn, you will rescue cats as usual, choosing from the left or right field and paying 3 or 5 fish respectively. On your sister's turn, she will take the cats, Oshax, or rare and common treasures as listed on her card from top to bottom. In this instance, if a card said to take cat 6, you would take the 6th cat in line starting from the left. If ever the numbered item is higher than the amount of items present, simply take the one furthest to the right in line. If there are no tiles that fit what the card asks for, nothing happens. During the rare finds phase, you may take treasures and remaining Oshax at your leisure, as your sister does not participate in this phase. At the end of the round, you will reveal the next solo color card and empty the fields to be repopulated for the next round. After 5 rounds, you proceed to scoring. All scoring for your boat will remain the same by scoring families of cats and scoring any lesson cards you have gained during the game. Your sister will then score based on the condition of your boat. First, she will score points based on the order of the color cards and how many of each color are present on your boat. For the first color revealed, every cat of that color on your boat will score your sister 5 points. The second color will score 4 points per cat, then 3, and so on. Next, your sister will score lesson cards. Examples could be score 5 points for every cat over 15, so ideally you would not have more than 15 cats on your boat at game's end, or 4 points for unspent fish. Your sister will score only based on colors and lessons, and the player with the highest score wins, with all ties going to your sister and her sabotaging ways. And that is how you solo the Isle of Cats. Like I said in the beginning, I kind of hinted, I really love the solo edition of Isle of Cats. I think it's absolutely fantastic for a number of reasons. Number one, it's pretty simple. You just flip over your cards, and your sister just eliminates those options. They're gone now. They're out of the game for good. That simulates pretty well your opponent taking the tiles you were hoping to get. The drafting is also pretty simple. Draw 5 cards, keep 3 of them, do that twice, draw the last card, which is simulate that last card getting past you in a normal draft in the Isle of Cats, and that works pretty well. The reason I really, really like this, more so than just the simplicity, is the Isle of Cats solo provides a very different feeling experience, in my opinion. The multiplayer game, you're drafting those cards, you're trying to pay attention to what people have, and you're just trying to kind of build the best boat you can. But this one takes a really interesting thing where it creates this AI of your sister who's stealing all your credit. So everything that they get is based off of what you have on your boat, on what you build. So now, rather than just trying to focus on everything I'm trying to build, I'm really hyper-focused on not doing certain things. It takes everything and flips it the other way around. I still have stuff I want to do. I still have all those normal things. I want to cover up rats on my boat. But now I have to avoid getting orange or whatever comes up first. That first color is 5 points for every one of those cats. That's pretty steep. So now basically a whole color eliminated. I can't do it. You know, so I want to avoid that. There's all these lesson cards that my sister has, and I now can't do any of the things that would help out my sister's score, even if I've drafted lesson cards that would make it really good for me to go for. Or is it, I can do this lesson and it's gonna be good for me, it's gonna be good for my opponent, but maybe I can make it valuable enough for me to overcome that fact. There's really kind of this weird thing of the better you do in the game, the better your opponent is going to do. And you have to be careful. You have to be crafty. I enjoy that there's a bit of deduction, because once you get halfway through the game, you start to think, I think green's gonna be the last one to come up. I think I'm gonna go a lot of green cats and hope that it's the last card, that all those cats will only be worth 1 point to my opponent. Easy peasy, let's go. But again, like normal Isle of Cats, you're dealing with what you have available that round. You only have a certain amount of tiles, and if none of those colors are good, what do? You know, that's gonna vastly change my strategy in that round, because I'm trying to not just hand my opponent points, because their boat is my boat, and my boat is very much their boat. And of course, something that Nick and I both agree on is that this has a clear win and loss condition. You either beat your sister's score or you do not. You win or you lose, and that is really compelling. I also like that if it's difficult, I can add more of those advanced lesson cards for my sister, so now I have more and more things that I have to keep track of as I'm building my boat to make sure I'm not just doing something extremely advantageous for my opponent. This is a great game where I don't normally do very well with paying attention to my opponents, but because there's nothing else around, I can really sit in there and really think of that back and forth and that head-to-head competition that I have, all with basically this deck of cards that creates your opponent. And so it's incredibly compelling by doing very little and keeping the heart of the game the same, but providing a very different feel than the normal multiplayer experience. So Isle of Cats for me is a huge home run in terms of having a fun solo experience. I haven't played this game that many different times, and as of this recording, I like the solo just as much, if not a hair more, than the multiplayer game, because it's that fun to kind of work out the puzzle and see how well I can do with avoiding all of these potential pitfalls for my own ultimate gain. So that's gonna be it for me, everybody. That's just my thoughts on the Isle of Cats. What are your thoughts on the Isle of Cats solo or multiplayer, put all those in the comments below and give this video a thumbs up while you're at it. Thank you for letting me invade this series. And just remember, always take a look at the back of the box, because once in a while you'll realize you can solo that. Thanks for watching that video. If you want to see Nick do a You Can Solo That, you can check out a video right over there. And if you want to see something else the Brothers Murph have done, click on this other video, because it's going to be something super duper cool. And if you would love to see even more stuff, click that little subscribe button and turn the notifications on so you always know when we have new videos coming out.